Welcome back to PsychEd. Today, we're going to explore the sociocultural factors that may contribute to the development of schizophrenia. Social psychologists believe that schizophrenia isn't just influenced by biological factors, but also by the environment and society we live in. We will focus on 4 sociocultural factors that may increase the risk of developing schizophrenia: life events, urbanicity, social isolation, and ethnicity and discrimination. Let's start with life events. Research has shown that significant life events, particularly stressful or traumatic ones, can increase the risk of developing schizophrenia. But how does that work? Life events can refer to anything from losing a loved one to going through a traumatic experience. Studies show that these stressful moments can trigger mental health issues, especially in people who may already be vulnerable. In fact, Brown and Burley found that people with schizophrenia were more likely to have experienced a major life event in the 3 weeks leading up to their first psychotic episode. The theory is that these stressful events can overload a person's mental and emotional capacity, potentially triggering symptoms of schizophrenia. Next, let's look at urbanicity, or simply living in urban environments. Studies suggest that people living in cities have a higher risk of developing schizophrenia compared to those in rural areas. But why is this? It's thought that the fast-paced, high-stress lifestyle common in urban areas contributes to mental health issues. Living in a densely populated city often means facing constant noise, overcrowding, pollution, and greater socioeconomic adversity. All these factors can lead to chronic stress, and researchers believe this stress may increase the likelihood of developing schizophrenia. Urban environments can also limit social support networks, leaving people feeling disconnected and vulnerable. Now, let's talk about social isolation. Social isolation refers to being cut off from others and lacking social connections. Research suggests that social isolation can make people more susceptible to mental health disorders, including schizophrenia. When people lack social support or meaningful relationships, it can lead to feelings of loneliness and neglect. This isolation can distort a person's perception of reality and may intensify negative thoughts. If a person is already vulnerable, social isolation can make them even more susceptible to developing symptoms of schizophrenia, as strange behavior can flourish, unchecked. Finally, let's examine ethnicity and discrimination. Discrimination and racism create chronic stress, which can increase mental health risks, including the risk of schizophrenia. Studies have shown that people from minority backgrounds, especially those of Afro-Caribbean descent, are more likely to be diagnosed with schizophrenia. In fact, research by Eduqas highlighted a key problem. The way mental health services are structured may contribute to the overdiagnosis of schizophrenia in certain ethnic groups. In many Western countries, psychiatry has historically been dominated by white professionals, which has led to misunderstandings and potential bias. Cultural differences in behavior or ways of expressing distress may be misinterpreted as symptoms of schizophrenia. This bias can mean that people from ethnic minority backgrounds may be more likely to be diagnosed with schizophrenia, even when they may have different mental health needs. When there's a lack of cultural understanding within psychiatry, clinicians might mistake expressions of stress, trauma, or different cultural norms as symptoms of psychosis. In other words, systemic bias in psychiatry can contribute to higher rates of schizophrenia diagnoses among minority groups. So, to sum it up, sociocultural factors like life events, urbanicity, social isolation, and ethnicity and discrimination each play a role in increasing vulnerability to schizophrenia. They remind us that mental health is not only shaped by biology, but but also by the social and environmental context a person lives in. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave any questions in the comments.